Hello and welcome to another AI predictions video. In this one, I've asked Grok, ChatGPT and Gemini all to predict the upcoming Premier League games. I've also thrown my own predictions in there to see if AI can beat a human in predictions, and just for a bit of fun, we've put a real life accumulator bet on based on those predictions, which you could win the money for. Okay, so let's kick straight off, and just quickly actually before we do, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing and liking the video. That'd be really great. But anyway, the first game, we've got Wolves versus Aston Villa. Grok and ChatGPT are both predicting a 2-1 win for Aston Villa. Gemini thinks that Villa are going to win that 2-0, and I think that that's going to end in a 1-1 draw. I don't really know why, I've just got it's more of a feeling than anything, sort of throwing the human aspect in there against the sort of pure data-driven predictions of the AI models. So I don't know why, I just feel like Wolves are at home. Aston, it's just one of those games you wouldn't expect Wolves to really do well in, and therefore that's probably why they will. So anyway, there's that one. Next up, we've got Bournemouth versus Sunderland. We've got Grok and Gemini both predicting a 2-1 win for Bournemouth. ChatGPT thinks that Bournemouth are going to win that 2-0, and I'm predicting another 1-1 draw there. I don't know why they're so confident in Bournemouth, because they're very leaky defensively. They're conceding a lot of XG stats and that kind of thing. And I don't know, I think these teams would both cancel each other out. Both got decent players. I think Sunderland are more solid defensively and sort of shape-wise, but Bournemouth can always, they're good at keeping possession and sort of creating good chances. So yeah, again, I think that's probably going to end in a 1-1 draw. Moving on, we've got Burnley, who are at home to Brentford, and all three models are perfectly aligned here and are predicting a 2-1 Brentford win, and I'm slightly different. I think that Brentford are going to win that 2-0. Burnley, I think, probably on form, along with Spurs and Wolves, are the worst team in the Premier League. I don't have any faith in them to win games or even really score goals at the moment. So there we go. Yeah, full confidence in Brentford for that one. Next up, we've got Liverpool, who are at home to West Ham. And again, we've got all three models predicting exactly the same thing here, and that is a 3-1 Liverpool win. I've got a feeling that Liverpool are really going to destroy West Ham here. I feel like they do seem to sort of have their number in games like this, especially when they're at Anfield. Yeah, so I've gone for a 4-0 Liverpool win there. Moving on, we've got Newcastle versus Everton, and Grok and ChatGPT are both predicting a 2-0 win for Newcastle. Gemini thinks that's going to end in a 1-1 draw, and I think Newcastle are going to win that 2-1. I think these teams are both very evenly matched. Newcastle at home, it's a big thing for them, being at St James's Park is a big difference. They've recently come off some really impressive performances against Qarabag in the Champions League, and I think that's going to be just enough to sort of push them past the line and get that win over Everton. Then we have Leeds versus Man City. We've got Grok and ChatGPT both predicting a 3-1 Man City win, and Gemini and myself both think that Man City are going to win that 3-0. I feel like Leeds are kind of like the perfect team that Man City want to play. They probably want to play them every week. Sort of quality-wise, they're much below where Man City are, and they do play in a way that, especially at home at Elland Road, which they are, they do play in a way that leaves them open up to sort of like counter-attacks and, Man City sort of pressure and that kind of thing. High pressing, I think, is just going to break Leeds down. So there we go, there's that one. We've got Brighton versus Nottingham Forest next. Grok and ChatGPT are agreeing again, and that is on a 2-1 Brighton win. Gemini think that Brighton are going to win that 1-0, and I'm going a little bit conservative and boring again, but I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw for that one. I think both teams are in similar sort of patches of form. I think they both will cancel each other out in terms of quality. Brighton being at home, maybe that gives them the edge, but yeah, I think they're both too evenly matched to call it, so a 1-1 draw is what I'm going for. The penultimate game, we have got Fulham, sorry, not the penultimate game, it's third from last. We've got Fulham versus Tottenham next, and Grok is predicting a 2-2 draw. ChatGPT a 1-1 draw. Gemini thinks that Fulham are going to win that 2-1, and I agree with Gemini. I think Fulham are going to do it. I don't think they'll dominate, but I do think they'll win, because Tottenham, like I said earlier in the video, are one of the worst teams on form that you could possibly hope to watch at the moment. They're just terrible. They're really, really bad. Don't know what's going on. I think it's multiple levels. I think it's the hierarchy. I think it's the man. Obviously the manager recently got sacked, but I think that squad of players just, I don't know, they've got the wrong attitude, or they're not good enough. Don't know what's going on, but I wouldn't pick many teams for Tottenham to beat right now. Maybe Burnley, but even then, even then I probably wouldn't. So yeah, Fulham to win that one. Then the penultimate game, which is Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. Grok and ChatGPT are both predicting a 2-1 win for Man United. Gemini a 2-0 win for Man United, and I think that's going to end in a 2-all draw. I don't know, I feel like Man United and Crystal Palace games are kind of unpredictable and go against form historically. I think that Palace have a good enough team to cause upsets and that kind of thing. Not that drawing with Man United would be a huge upset, but the way that Man United are playing at the moment, you probably would consider it a little bit of an upset. But I think it's very doable. I think Man United have been slightly lucky to get away with certain things so far, you know, like their last-minute winners, last-minute equalisers, excuse me, against West Ham and other teams. So there's that one. And then the last game of the game week, which is the big one, Arsenal versus Chelsea. And all three models are perfectly aligned here and are predicting a 2-1 Arsenal win. And I think Arsenal are going to win that 1-0. Classic 1-0 to the Arsenal. So there are all of the predictions. Now let's move on to the bet. And here it is. So I'll just briefly explain exactly, like I said in the intro, how you can win this money. So all you got to do is comment on this video by the time the games have all been played, and that is kind of your ticket into the competition, as it were. And then once the games have all been played, obviously if the bet does come in, I'll pick a commenter at random. It won't be first come, first served, because we've got different time zones all over the world, that kind of thing. It wouldn't be that fair. And then we'll just swap contact information and financial information, and I'll just send the money over. Simple as that. All right, so the first game, we've got two bet builders to kick off with. The first one of which is Liverpool versus West Ham, and that consists of Liverpool to win, for there to be over 2 goals into the game, Liverpool to have the most shots, and Hugo Ekitike to either score or assist. That came out at 23-20, which is, you know, not half bad. We've got another bet builder here for the Leeds versus Man City game, and it's the same template. We've just adjusted it for the game. So that is a Man City win, over 2 goals in the game, Man City to have the most shots, and Erling Haaland to either score or assist. Came out at 21-10. Yeah, not too bad. But when you stack it up in an accumulator, it looks a lot better. So after that, we've got in the Aston Villa versus Wolverhampton game, we've got a double chance for either Aston Villa to win or for there to be a draw there. So all three models were predicting an Aston Villa win, excuse me, and I, for some reason, think that's going to be a draw. So I just wanted to sort of factor that into our thinking there. We've got then Bournemouth to beat Sunderland in that game. We've got Brentford to beat Burnley, you know, one of the easier ones to predict. We've got full confidence in Brentford there. Might come back to bite us now I've actually said that. We've got Newcastle to beat Everton. In the Brighton versus Nottingham Forest game, we've got another double chance. That's Brighton to win or for it to be a draw. So the same reasons as the Wolves versus Villa game, really. In the Fulham versus Tottenham game, we've got both teams to score. Now, I know what I said. I've got full confidence in Fulham, but 2 of the 3 AI models thought that that was going to be a draw. So we've kind of just gone for both teams to score. That's one of those games that I feel like it will be hard to predict, even though I personally think that Tottenham will lose. It will be something weird will happen, you know. So I want to avoid any sort of nasty surprises there. So then the penultimate game, we've got Man United versus Crystal Palace, and we've gone for another double chance there, a Man United win or a draw, much for the same reasons as the last 2 double chances we've put on, you know, just to sort of cover all bases. And then finally, we have got Arsenal to beat Chelsea. So that's a 10-fold accumulator. The odds there were 174.38 to 1. I've put a £5 stake on that to potentially return £876.92. And that could all be yours. So get your comments in now. And just quickly before I leave you, I like to do this little section at the end, which is to show you sort of what the interaction with the AI was. So what you're seeing on screen right now is the sort of raw list screenshot format of the predictions from the models themselves. And then just above my head here, you'll see what the prompt is. So I'll just read that out if you can't see it. It basically says, please predict the upcoming insert league name. So obviously we've got Premier League for this one. Games with scores for each. Please use current data, previous relevant stats, recent results, head-to-head stats for the last 5 meetings, and injury lists. Pay attention to current league position as a strong indicator. Now consider underdogs and anomalies for these fixtures. Do bookmakers have any interesting odds? And does a certain fixture throw out anomalous stats? All of that considered, choose the most likely outcome. So it is pretty much that what I put in every time. I do prefer to go back and forth with the models, so I ask each sort of question separately, so it sort of considers it properly and then sort of re-scans the internet for those different data sources, and I think it just casts a wider net and makes it slightly more reliable. So there we have it. And that is basically the end of the video. I just want to quickly let you know I've got another predictions video out on the channel right now. I'll try and stick the link there or there if I can do my job properly. And that is for the other 4 top European leagues. We've got predictions for every single game, so go check that out. And while you're here, if I could just ask you to subscribe to the channel and like the video, I'd really appreciate that. But in any event, thanks so much for watching. Take it easy, get those comments in, and I'll see you in the next one.